So somebody's told you about this really cool new app they've tried that's really helped their productivity, and you give that a download. And then somebody tells you a little bit about some keyboard shortcuts that they've learned that mean that they can make things happen much, much faster when they're handling their email inbox, or maybe some posts from internal social media. So slowly but surely and bit by bit, you're increasing your productivity, right? In small ways, in many cases, but the impact of that, it might actually feel like the impact of that is actually pretty big, right? Just recently I figured out a way to group together the bookmarks in my browser so that I could group them together by theme, by topic, and that feels big. That's great. It makes me much more able to find things quickly. I can, when I want to create new bookmarks, I know exactly where they should go. So I'm not trying to downplay the impact that these small changes can make, right? Sometimes they can feel quite fundamental. But here's the thing. Once those new ways of working have embedded themselves, so once you've learned that really cool set of keyboard shortcuts, right? Or you've downloaded that app and you've integrated that into how you're working, then what we find is that what happens next is that uncovers for you new things that have your attention about your ways of working, new sources of friction, new sources of pressure in your system or in the ways that you work that mean that it's okay, that now there's more apparently that I need to focus on. Now, it's not always the case that in those cases you decide that those are problems you're going to solve straight away. You might just live with them for a while. But what's interesting for me is that it's this kind of cycle of, we implement improvements, and those improvements clear a little bit of mental space, quite frankly, that allow us then to see other things that we might not have seen before. So we're peeling an onion to a certain extent. Now, here's what I think is really interesting about the work that we do. The work that we do, it's not that we, don't provide practical tips and tricks. We are hip deep in practical tips and tricks. We're going to talk to you about how can you deal with your email inbox more effectively. And we're going to talk about how can you, if you've sent an important message and you want to track the fact that you're waiting for a response, how can you do that in the technical tool that you have? So that's all, it's critical stuff, right? And we understand that's got to be a part of any solution when it comes to ways that you're going to be able to implement not just productivity or enhanced productivity, but also to do that in sort of stress relieving ways and more stress-free ways. But here's the thing. I think that what's unique about our work in getting things done is that we provide you with frameworks that give you a place to hang all of these improvements on, right? So yeah, keyboard shortcuts, that allows me to deal with my email inbox more quickly. Okay, and that belongs in a certain area within the methodology. And once that feels like it's kind of on cruise control, then you might well turn your attention to something else. And getting things done gives you frameworks to think about, okay, what are some other sources of improvement? What are some other things that I could think about in terms of my ways of working day to day that might help? Not that you're going to spend all of your time trying to re-engineer your work. Not by any means, but at the same time, when you do get curious about how could I make things a little bit easier on myself, or when you do get curious about, hey, how could I interact with other people in my team more effectively, or when you feel, as I say, that kind of pressure that comes from, you're working on something and you feel like, this could be made easier. This just shouldn't be this hard. Then we've got ways of thinking about those things, right? And ways to optimize. So if that's of interest and you haven't tried getting things done, absolutely recommend that you try us out. Come on along to one of our public seminars if you'd like, or subscribe to our newsletter. Just get a sense of it. And understand maybe over the course of the next several weeks and months as you get into the material, how comprehensive it is. GTD is not just about tips and tricks. it helps you to figure out how the tips and tricks can help, but it's also about comprehensive models that give you the confidence that you have optimized the ways that you work in all of the ways that are helpful. Bye for now.